I'm assuming.
Of course we can. Yeah.
Okay.
They're from my school.
I was like, hey yo. Alright, this person's not letting.
Jesus.
What up, Spencer?
That's what you think.
With Fourth Wall,
No, I'm
you
kidding.
can create a shop that makes buying products a fun and interactive experience.
What up, Spencer? Spencer. Alright, this person. Okay, bye, Spencer. I guess.
Dude, I'm a moderator in this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, peace, Emery. I don't know. It didn't say you were saying bye. Peace, bro.
I modded you in case while I was making tea. I don't know, some stupid shit happened.
Oh wait, what the fuck? Hunter Avalon's in this other channel. Hold on. Alright, hold on. Let's mute my mic real quick. Oh no. Oh, he's just watching the fucking.
What's up, friends?
What's up, dude?
Oh, not much. Hope everyone had a happy holiday.
It was alright.
Merry Christmas.
Pro-choice all 9 months. Seems weird.
Sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like dead and alive babies.
Huh?
Don't worry about it, man.
Don't you think it's a bit extreme? I mean, I guess the best way to start is to ask you what you mean by pro-choice all 9 months.
Yeah, I think that pregnant people have the right to end a pregnancy all 9 months of that pregnancy.
And can you define end?
Terminate.
To stop being pregnant.
Cease.
Oh, all right. So it's kind of a misleading topic in a way.
If you want to feel that way.
Well, I guess. Pro-choice is generally discussing abortion, correct?
Yeah, that's like part of what it means to be pro-choice.
What's up, dude?
That's part of what it means to be pro-choice.
Right. So, but pro-choice, if you're talking about ending a pregnancy, we're talking in this case, pro-choice. The umbrella of pro-choice means that abortion is underneath that, because the other alternative to pro-choice is life, which is a birth.
Well, I think maybe understanding pro-choice, pro-life is like a dichotomy. It's really just the dichotomy between being like, a real dichotomy is just being pro-choice, anti-choice, and pro-abortion, pro-life, right? So like, we're pro-abortion sometimes and we're pro-life sometimes, but we're pro-choice all of the time. So like, obviously, if you can deliver your child, if you can get the child out of you without killing it, like an induced labor or something like that, obviously we're pro your choice to end the pregnancy, but we're pro your choice to end the pregnancy in a way that doesn't kill them. But in some instances, like in the first trimester, we're pro-choice still, but we just think that you have the right to an abortion because that's your own.
Right, but again, you just got to delineate between abortion and birth, because birth is different than abortion, and there's no
good
like
observation.
So yeah, but I still think that, I mean, the idea to choose, even in like the first and second trimester, especially late first trimester, it's problematic in that you're ending a life unique from the mothers and the fathers.
That shit is virtuous. That shit is virtuous. I don't know why.
That shit is virtuous, son. Is that what you just said?
That shit is virtuous. That shit is super virtuous. That shit is rational.
It's rational. You're right.
It's life promoting. You know what I mean? Shit is good.
Well, I don't understand. Like, what? I mean, I understand you're trying to be funny, but like, I don't understand what the dig is. I'm trying to. What's that?
I'm not trolling. I think it's virtuous.
Okay. So I don't know. I think it appears. I mean, the debate topic is okay. Pro-choice all 9 months. I just don't think there's a choice once if by your definition, a child hits viability, there's no more choice. It's then it's a life. Is that where you guys are on that?
Yeah, we can get an abortion past there, but we can still think you can terminate your pregnancy.
Yeah, but that's what again,
Right,
your
but
language is weird because
I don't know if you have kids.
oh yes, I do. I have 2.
Right. So then you has your wife had a C-section?
Yes. Are you trying to equate an abortion to a C-section?
Well, wow. No, maybe I can finish my line of questioning.
Oh no, I was just going to ask. I was just prefacing the statement. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, my statement is to say that if your wife had a C-section, especially a scheduled C-section, that is choosing to deliberately terminate the pregnancy. Whether or not you want to call that an abortion, I think that your wife has the option to do that. I think she has the right to do that.
Right. Well, you don't schedule one because you're ready to have birth. You schedule one because I'm sorry, what?
First of all, that's not true.
It is.
Medically, some women do.
What?
Hello?
Yeah, I
Okay, I thought wait, I was, oh, my bad. You thought I was done?
yeah, my bad. Go ahead, finish.
Okay, yeah. So if a person does not wish to be pregnant anymore, they can absolutely schedule their C-section for the sake of not wanting to be pregnant anymore. Women can also do this if it is out of medical necessity or if it will make delivery easier.
Yeah, medical necessity is understandable. But just because you're done being pregnant, I would like to see evidence of that. Because I don't think someone can go, oh man, I'm just tired of being pregnant. Let's schedule a C-section. It's generally.
Do you think that if a person wanted to, like, if they genuinely did though feel like that they should be able to?
Well, no, I mean not if the baby needs to develop more. I mean,
Viability is.
yeah, but viability is different from.
Hello. Oh, my bad. Did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning?
You've interrupted me twice, but go ahead, finish.
No, I fucking haven't. Anyways, so when we're talking about this, viability, 24 weeks, 60 to 70%.
Mhm.
The chance of procuring a long life or a severe lifelong disability is 30%. That significantly jumps over time, but the amount of abortions that happen between 21 weeks and on are only 1% of abortions, and they're only most of them are viable abortions. Siggy, go ahead though if you had a point.
I was just gonna say, people book in for early inductions and C-sections all the time. It's really common. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's once one. Yeah, but it's not at like. Do you know when those are? It's like between 36 and 40 weeks, which is considered full term. Because
Not
viability and full
necessarily.
term are different. Can we agree on that?
Yes, they
Okay.
are different things.
Yeah.
That still doesn't mean that people don't book in for elective C-sections and inductions.
Right. Yes, you are correct. But but they do that once it's full term, which is between 36 and 40 weeks. It's not like a
generally, yeah.
yeah, and I think that's my point because it sounds like you're trying to get people in like gotchas and mad, because there's totally a difference between I'm done being pregnant and I want a C-section and baby's full term and I elect to have a C-section over a natural birth because it's still, I mean, natural birth is, people want that, sometimes they can't, for whatever reason. So it's just good to make that distinction, I think.
Siggy, do you think that this matters at all? Like, do you think this is important whether or not we get people in here just based off of the topic, right? And if it does matter, what's the reason that it does matter?
Well, actually, I didn't see a distinction in the statements that you made. Jack, like I think that someone booking in for a C-section because they don't want to be pregnant anymore is the same reasoning why anyone would book in a plan, mostly a planned C-section or induction, or unless it was for some other reason. Like maybe it's twins, and so we have to like end the pregnancy early for this reason or some other like medical reason. But
that's common with twins and multiples. So
so yeah, I think that the reason for both, like the reason of someone who has an early C-section or induction because they don't want to be pregnant anymore, regardless if it's like 30 weeks or like 40 weeks, whatever. It's the same reason.
Yeah, but I'm saying I would if you guys have evidence of someone, of a doctor or doctors allowing a non-full term woman, pregnancy to just give birth because they're done being pregnant, I'd like to see that, because I would say that's wrong. I don't think you have any business like interrupting the development of a human just because it's inconvenient.
This is a totally different objection than the objections you've been
Well, no,
making.
it's not, because you said pro-choice all 9 months, and this is part of the choice that people are making. And if that's what's being made, I think that's wrong.
Your entire objections this whole time have been based off of how we word this. Right? They haven't been based off of the actual morality of ending a pregnancy after 24 weeks. Right?
I'm happy to
You
get into that.
also have a problem. Hello?
Hey.
Okay. You also have a problem with abortions from 1 to 24 weeks. So you can address 1 to 24 and you can address the 24 and after. But these are two separate procedures, but I believe that a pregnant person has the right to do both of those procedures.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting into, is I don't, because I'm trying to understand your position fully in your in the pro-choice argument, and understanding what your argument is, how you're formulating it, because I do think that the topic is a touch misleading, but that's fine, because it sounds like,
I don't care.
well, but when you're debating and discussing with hello. You interrupted me, man.
Are you a grown adult? This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy for a grown adult to interrupt someone like this. I hope you don't do this in real life. You made me lose my thoughts, so thank you for that. I don't care if the conversation is you feel that the headline is misleading. That is to get people in here, because my ultimate goal is to make people understand that a pregnant person should have this right. So even if you don't feel like you're going to get convinced today, somebody else listening in could get convinced. I got convinced by hearing logical reasons for being pro-choice. I was literally convinced through a TikTok live that someone was hosting. This was way long ago, but still.
Okay. I'm muted.
I can't figure out how to unmute.
Well, no, I was making sure you were done talking. You keep saying I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, typically when people pause after a sentence, then that means that they're
done. Okay. Well, I disagree with your stance. If you want to just get into the debate, I don't think that.
Yeah, I would like this not to be meta.
Well, there is importance in understanding people's language, and also setting the foundation for like what you believe, what I believe. I think it's fine to clarify language.
It's not that you wanted. Wait, yeah, you weren't just clarifying language. You had a specific problem with the language. That's the thing. So you weren't just clarifying. You really had a problem with the language. So yeah, we can get into the actual debate if you want to talk about that as to why it's wrong after 24 weeks. But you've harped now this entire time on the way that I have this worded, and how you don't think that that's an abortion, and how you think that's significantly different. When I'm just telling you, I don't think it's different. I'm using these words to mean that it's all inclusive of those type of procedures.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
I don't have. Wait, hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't have a case study to give you of like happening, but I can tell you that there are a few states I know in America that don't have any restriction on weeks for abortions, and C-sections and inductions are medically coded as abortions. And I know that the state that I live in code also have this law. So there is no restriction on when you can get an abortion. This includes the C-sections and inductions, and this is the case because otherwise there is a lot of red tape for doctors to try to get around in instances of emergencies, or as we said, like things like twins, which is why there isn't going to be a restriction. Also to compensate for the people who like say someone has like hyperemesis their whole pregnancy, they've been hospitalized, they can't stand being pregnant anymore at like 27 weeks. They would be allowed to have a C-section or an induction
Yeah, I'm not.
I can't give you studies, but I can give you that there are states that have this lore and the reasons why.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm not. I'm not against medical necessity, and if I'm not mistaken, the Hippocratic oath that doctors take they will always save life when needed, especially the mother's life. I mean, if they can't save both, then they will save the mother. I'm totally down with that. I think it's important to preserve life. Again, this is where I think a lot of pro-choicers, their argument stems from is protecting the sanctity of life, and that especially after viability, it's important that we do everything possible to preserve that life. I think if more people had put more value on human life at all stages of development, we'd see less of this. Obviously, I can't control anyone to, but I do think people should be considering that, at conception, you have a unique genetic code from different from the mothers and the fathers, and given its natural processes, it will develop into a fully grown human. And I think if people think of it that way, they will take precautions at all stages. Now, you can't. Nothing's 100%, but we can certainly do our part to mitigate the need for any sort of choice. And again, I'm not talking about medical choice. That's totally different. But anything that is an inconvenience to the parent is I think in my opinion evil to end that life.
Yeah, I don't think that having a unique set of DNA grants value. I think that everything has a unique set of DNA except for identical and conjoined twins, and I don't think they don't get rights just because they have the same DNA as somebody else. Do you think that vaccines and stem cell research are good and valuable and important?
If we're gonna get, is it because are you asking this because it's a gotcha that we harvest the cells of unborn children to do that?
Yeah, I am asking because of that.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
just
I mean,
curious.
this is it's a really hard question to answer because we've all benefited hugely from vaccines and stem cell research. I don't know much about like stem cell research other than that it's something that I mean, people would argue that it's a huge leap forward in providing people with uh, cures for diseases and being a lot of stuff. Um,
It would eliminate the need for organ donation.
yeah, it's this is it's a really deep philosophical question. Quite honestly, it's not an easy one to answer because again, we've all benefited from these vaccines and some people from stem cells. In the medical field is a very dirty business because we experiment on animals in order for us to get some of this stuff, and we experiment on humans. It's not. It's not something I'm really for. Like, again, like harvesting kids because, or, the unborn humans because um, they're about to be disposed of anyway. That's a hard question to ask to answer on the spot, but it doesn't make me feel good at all.
Yeah, I think that since a embryo isn't sentient, then I think that it is more beneficial to use blastocysts and embryos for stem cell research and things like vaccines. Since they're not sentient, I don't care.
If
So I
you're in
think
a
that that's
coma,
going to
can I
go
pull the
more
plug on you? You don't have
people in
sentience.
comas.
No, you don't.
People in comas.
No, you
How are
don't.
you defining? How are you defining
Well,
sentience?
let's look it up because I actually looked this up recently.
Because I'll just say, but you don't necessarily need to, because I'll just say that
Well,
I'm defining sentience as subjective experience. And I would say that dreams are going to be an example of this. I would say it's the mind experiencing itself. And so,
well, that's
therefore,
yeah.
people in coma. are sentient by my definition, and they would also meet my necessary conditions for sentience. So yes, people in comas are sentient.
They're not typically considered sentient as they're in a state of unconsciousness and are not aware of their surroundings or able to respond to stimuli.
Yes, which is why, and that's why I asked you what your definition of sentience was, because I was assuming that you were going to operate under that definition. That isn't my definition.
No, that I get it. Like, I mean, it is a definition. You know, we live in a time where people are defining words differently. But that, again, that's where I'm kind of coming from, is that and the reason I use the genetic code argument, and because I've heard other people use it and it makes the most sense to me, is because it's the only line that we can draw that doesn't fall apart at any other stage. So unique genetic code, that gives you value because it's different from everything else. And yeah, everyone's different. That's why all people should be valued.
Okay, so if you only get value because you have a unique genetic code, that excludes identical twins and conjoined twins.
No, you're I think you're kind of twisting my point here. That is of course they have value. They happen to be a rare case where two humans share identical code. And even that, I don't want to speak too much on it because I've seen identical twins that have small variations. But still, there is I don't know that it's unique genetic code. They both share it. It is genetic code. It doesn't mean one is less than the other. I don't know. It seems like a silly thing to bring up.
Okay, so if you say that the reason that people are valuable because they have unique DNA from each other, and then I say, well, identical twins, 80% of identical twins, and all conjoined twins have the same DNA. Therefore, their DNA is not unique. Therefore, they wouldn't qualify to rights in your framework. I didn't twist your words. It was a critique of your argument.
Yeah, but again, it's a semantic dismantling of my argument in that, like, it doesn't really change the fact that so the pro-choice argument is that my body, my choice. Well, it's not. It's a different body because it's unique genetic code that differs from yours. It's not
Neither one of us have said my body, my choice.
No, I know that. I'm saying, but the pro-choice argument often envelops that my body, my choice.
Are you debating the people on this panel, or are you debating somebody else's stances?
Well, okay, so you don't believe that so you don't believe that the unborn child is part of the mother's body. And so she should have the right to get it because of it.
Wait. No, that okay, because I can say that sure, my stance is in my body, my choice. So I can argue this. Hold on. So when we say it's my body, my choice, I'm not saying that the fetus is also my body, therefore I can do what I want with it. What my body, my choice means is that, and we can include your argument into this, that there is a different being with its own unique set of DNA inside my body, and I have the right to exclude others from my body, which is my choice.
So why are people getting abortions for the most part?
Because they don't want someone else.
But why did they get pregnant?
That's something that they can't control, actually.
What do you mean that's not? Wait, what? How do you have sex? I mean, can I say that? How do you have sex? However you say it.
Yeah. Do I make an active choice whether or not a embryo implants in my uterine wall?
Yeah, if you allow some guy to, I got to censor myself, obviously. Otherwise, I'd be more descriptive.
Sure, I can have sex that may influence certain outcomes.
Okay.
I cannot decide or actively choose whether or not I become pregnant.
Yeah. Well,
And
no.
that's not a choice I get.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is a very disingenuous argument now, because you know what happens when a guy, when you have sex, when a male and female have sex, this is likely the outcome. So the way to control that is how?
Actually, not like it's not a like.
Yeah. God.
Wait. Do you know the percent? Like, okay, what's the percent? Let's say someone's not on any birth control. How likely is it that they end up?
I don't know the figures. You can tell me if you want.
It's less than 5%.
Okay.
And that's if she has sex with a fertile window, which is only like 5 days of a whole month. So then let's say that she uses 2 forms of birth control. So she's on the implant, which is 99% effective, and then she uses condoms, which is like 95% effective, I believe. So her chance of getting pregnant is like over 99%
Yeah.
of not getting pregnant.
Right.
So it's really not that common. It's actually really difficult to get.
Yeah, but okay. So yeah, but you have to know that when you engage in that act, that there is still a chance, regardless of how like light you think it is. Like even if the girl's on birth control and the guy is using a condom, like even in that circumstance, there's still a chance. It's pretty dang low. But how, like, do you have a percentage of do we know the percentage of pregnancies that happen when both people are actively using contraception? Because I bet that is really low too. Like very low.
When both people are using contraceptive, how often pregnancy occurs?
Yeah. I would love to know that number, because but it
It's-
doesn't negate the value of life that comes from that, because you can control it 99.99999% of the time. I'd be willing to bet that that's like pretty close to the number that you can control it.
Can you control a biological process and whether or not it's
No, that's the point. That's the point. That's the point.
Okay. Wait. So can you control, like, if you eat Thanksgiving dinner and that shit upsets your stomach and you have like IBS, can you control affecting
No.
your
Listen, you can.
Okay, so then
You-
okay, so cool, concession. You can't control whether or not you get pregnant and whether or not the egg is
But
the uterine lining.
yes, and you're sort of making the point for me that when you engage in this act, it's still likely that it can happen. Like you can't control it, because once you engage in that, there's many different variables that can cause it to happen. Whether or not you pull out or whatever. Sometimes these things fail.
Wait, okay, so I just want to make sure that this is the concession to the point that 1, pregnancy is unlikely, and 2, you cannot control whether or not the egg implants into the uterine lining.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
yeah, but I'm more so trying to push back on the point that was made by Siggy.
Yes, I just want to yes, that was a concession.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm more so pushing back on what Siggy's been saying about how, like, you can't, like, yes, you can't fully control it, but like engaging in the actual act, first of all, is you saying, I understand the rules of the game that I'm playing. Like you can't just, ignorance of the rules doesn't, take away from the rules. Ignorance of the law does not excuse you from the law. You need to know these things and engaging in it. And if you,
I never said that sex like doesn't have the possibility of leading to pregnancy. Like my critique was that you said that you control whether or not you're pregnant, and I said, well, you can influence whether or not you get pregnant. However, you do not get to control whether or not you actually end up like pregnant or not. Like you don't get to consciously be like, yeah, I choose to have this embryo implanted in my uterus.
right.
And you agree with us.
Yeah.
Like you agree that sure, you can influence and you can be influenced and you can be aware of the risk.
Right.
But you don't get to choose whether or not you end up pregnant or not, like by your direct
Right.
action.
Right.
it's going to be a biological process. It's going to be a certain outcome that may or may not happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that if something does happen that you can just destroy that life.
But why? Why does sex create an obligation?
Because you're entering into you're entering an understanding that this could happen. That's why people laugh at the idea of abstaining. It's not nearly as ridiculous as it sounds. If you're not ready to possibly raise a life, then maybe you should wait a little bit and get your crap in order. It's not a crazy thing. Or do everything possible to prevent it. Because most of the time it will prevent it. Most of the time.
Yeah. So why does sex create an obligation?
Because life should be preserved. It shouldn't be disposed of because it's inconvenient for you.
So I have an obligation to all life?
No, you have an obligation to the life that you create.
Why?
Why? Seems like a weird question to have to answer. Because it's a unique life that you created. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that it happened.
So I have an obligation to miracles?
It's a weird reductionist way of looking at what I'm saying. But I suppose that, yes, when you are responsible for a miracle, I would think that you would want to preserve that miracle. Yes, I don't think that's crazy to say.
Siggy, two things. Molar pregnancies and smoking obligation to keep cancer.
That's totally different. You're equating smoking cancer?
Is your name Siggy?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't realize your name was Siggy.
You don't have to be like that. You can just say, "Can I talk to Siggy?"
Wait, well, I figured when I address someone by using their name that I'm talking to that particular person. So maybe as an adult, you should take context clues. I don't have to be nice. Siggy's giving you the courtesy of being nice. I'm not.
I haven't been rude, but okay.
All right, you can feel that way.
So do I have an obligation to all things that have unique DNA?
Wait, are you going to answer her question, or are you asking me a question?
Well, I don't think Anna really asked me a question. They just gave me examples of reductios that I could use at this point, which I have taken note of.
Okay, your question again?
Yeah, so do I have an obligation to all things with unique DNA?
Ones that you create, yes.
Okay. So, why is that? Why do I have an obligation to things that
Because I think it's morally good. And I think people laughing off and saying that I should be able to dispose of this whenever it's not in my best interest or because it's inconvenient for me, I think is evil. And I think it's like if you're not able to care for this or possibly care for this, then either don't do it or be ready to give it up to people who can.
So cancer has unique human DNA. If I smoke,
I don't want to engage in that argument. Sorry.
Why?
Because I'm not going to equate cancer to kids, and I think you're smart enough to realize why that's ridiculous.
Well, I'm not actually equating cancer to kids. It's your argument.
No, it's totally different, and it's different. But you people yourself who are want to entertain this conversation are intentionally being disingenuous. And that's not how you have discussions like this. I don't think, not productive ones anyway.
So, are all things with unique DNA valuable?
No, and I think you understand that there is a hierarchy to unique genetic code and how that works. I thought, because you've reminded me that I haven't acted like an adult, but I thought I've been interacting with adults about this, and it's clear that it's not the case really, because, of course,
You just don't understand logic. That's the
No, this is
problem.
not logic.
Both of us
Again,
hello? Both of us are grown adults. You're interacting with adults not very well.
anyone who wants someone to explain that cancer is unique genetic code and that's why we don't have to value a fetus because we just rip out cancer and we don't foster that into existence is just being intellectually disingenuous. So that's
No,
not
I
what
think
I'm
you're
saying.
just not understanding. Go ahead.
oh please, like by all means, I
That's
guess.
not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like I've already laid out to you that like I value sentience. So I don't care. It's not a part of my argument at all. Unique DNA. I actually don't. I don't care about DNA at all, regardless of what it is. I don't think that DNA is something that is inherently valuable, and I don't think I have a reason to value it. But you do. This is your argument that you value unique DNA. So I'm giving you a reductio based on your stance and your of what you've told me, which is that you value unique DNA and that you have an obligation to things with unique DNA that you create.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you the reductio
Right.
of the cancer reductio because it's a critique of your stance. It's not my stance at all. It's your stance. So if you could explain why they're different, then that's going to be how the debate progresses. Is you explaining to me why you would value the unique DNA of a human embryo, but you wouldn't value the unique DNA of a human tumor. Like, what's going to be the distinction for you?
Because I'm not retarded. That's why.
No, you can't say that.
Oh, sorry.
On here, you're going to get bananaed.
Why do they always go to slurs?
I don't know.
It's always.
Dude, I don't get it. What is wrong with these people? What, like, seriously, what is wrong with these people that they think that, well, that a reductio is somehow like is somehow going to convince anyone that, oh yeah, like, oh, you're totally right. Like I should totally value cancer because it's unique from the host. I don't even know where to begin on how stupid these people really are. Like, and like any, like, I kind of want to go back and watch. I want to go back and watch it because I was interrupted several times during that debate, several times. And then I would like try and speak up. Hello? Hello? Sex ed matters. People do not understand that women can get pregnant only during ovulation. Yeah, no, they were making that argument, Jerry. They had said as much. They said as much, and I know that. I do know that. But it's like, yo. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. You're rude. It was lag. Well, then she like says something. She says something, stops. Like she puts me on mute, right? I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to unmute myself and be rude. She mutes me, says her whole point. I give her like 2 solid seconds to make sure. And then I go to, and I unmute. Oh, I couldn't find the unmute button. You were just telling me that I interrupt and blah, blah, blah. You mute it. Like, why do they always go to slurs? Let me tell you something. When I call someone a retard, it's not because I want to disparage people who have Down syndrome. I'm saying that for people who are intellectually stunted to the point where they try to equate the unique genetic code of the fetal stage of human development with cancer. That is where I draw the line. All right? What else is here? Is there anyone else on here? That Harry dude is on. Can I get on with Harry?
Say what? Look, somebody in your chat just literally said no one cares when I said that I was sexually assaulted. These are your supporters, Harry.
No way you're trying to equate your experience to being muted in a live stream. Come on, my man. Let's have a serious conversation here. You were talking about, and look, Bradley, I feel for you. Your story is awful, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I'm trying to have a serious.
Wait, who? Who?
Mary?
I really want to keep watching that and see what else, but
Okay, but then, sorry. Also, can I ask in this situation? Do you also? Pardon? Is that?
see if we can find one more. Maybe one more.
Very much. So I'm going to phrase it as a safe way of referencing it for TikTok. The doctor sees an innie or an outie. Doctor has a 98% chance of guessing that a typical phenotypical development is either male or female.
Ooh.
But first of all, that's a 98% chance. There's still a 2% chance that that person's gender is not going to actually align with that phenotype. Second, the intersex. Most intersex people, you don't know they're intersex by looking at the phenotypical development. There's other organs internal that come into play. Sometimes a fallopian tube is not developed in that person. Sometimes even the ovaries are not developed. Sometimes the uterus. Sometimes the vaginal opening, the vaginal canal. There's a whole bunch of
Based on what you hear,
and then
what do you think this person looks like?
There's also other variations that don't come into play and fully develop typically. The point is that does not define a gender. That defines phenotypical development. And as my
I need to, okay. What is, I'm not familiar with this term. I'll be honest. Phenotype. The set of observable characteristics of an individual resulting from the interaction of its genotype with the environment. Okay. Let's see if I can't get in this.
you can, but many times you can't. Sometimes people have the gametes that are in between, that are ovotestes. Sometimes they have an ovary and a testes. Sometimes there's a ovary, there's two testes, but there's also two ovaries. There's a number of different variations out there.
Most of which are insanely rare, by the way.
How would these people know their gender?
What do you mean?
We've explained to you what intersex is.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, how would these people know their gender?
Well, as Kari said, that like intersex is a sex on its own, so they're neither male or female.
We weren't asked about the gender. You weren't asked about the sex, the phenotypical development. You were asked about the gender. How does the person know their gender, their identity, who they are internally, and their roles that they want to perform in society? What my point is that, and what okay, please remind me the correct pronunciation. Tashika. It's going to take a minute or two for me to register from short-term to long-term memory. Tashika. But Tashika was asking, is a person who's intersex, gender, their internal sense of self, how does that person know especially if they're ambiguous in the middle.
I mean, call me crazy, but is it wrong to not want to define things by a very small fraction of the population? Like most people are not intersex, and most people's their outside matches their inside, and even at that, like I think a lot of it is on a sliding scale of like the feminine man or the masculine woman. Like there's like if anything, you have most people on that scale, and they're not on the scale of like, oh my god, I'm like inside out boy, like I should be a woman, but I'm actually a man. That's what it seems like, John. It's weird.
Fit into a stronger example of intersex. If that's up to you, Tashika. I'm just trying to make sure I'm pronouncing it.
You got it. You got it.
I'm just trying to register.
By the way, hi, you are gorgeous. And hi, I'm Jasmine, 25, she, her. I am intersex female. I was born with 2 ovaries and 2 testes, which is known as a true gonadole.
How many people are born like this? 2 ovaries and 2 testes. Great, you're brave. You're whatever. I'd be willing to bet that they present mostly as one thing or another. Like that, right?
And you can ask me questions. I'm not afraid to answer them.
Okay, so you're intersex. So what like gender are you?
My gender is female, but it's intersex female.
This person it's different. It's difficult to bring a person on like this because again, it's anecdotal at best. I mean, and at worst, like their experience is probably it might not be typical, and it sounds like it's very much not typical. Whereas other intersex people will have remnants of something, or like or but for the most part, like present wholly as female.
Okay, the more accurate view that a lot of the doctors are moving towards is that intersex is neither exclusively male nor female and is a third sex that's in between the other 2 sexes.
But can there be intersex male then?
There could be intersex male, but that is not exclusively, the person is not exclusively male. And there are people who are directly in the middle. In fact, I do believe that.
I have to go 2 seconds. Fuck.
Ooh.
If you want to continue. Oh, okay. They just left. All right. That was something. Okay. Let's go on to the next person. I am so sorry. Let's go on to the next person. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming up. By the way, you can stay here if you want to. Let's see if this person's loading in. Doesn't seem like they're loading in. In the meantime, y'all keep tapping the screen. Keep tapping the screen. I did want to keep the live going on for a little bit longer. I'm having a good time. Some great people were coming up. Hey.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. How old are you?
I am so sorry. I totally misheard you.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 25. Sorry.
Okay. What do you think about the topic here?
I'm actually a friendlies, and I agree.
Oh.
So, Carly knows me.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep, this is Nikki.
I just misheard you at first, and I heard how bold are you? Like BOLD.
Oh, so bold. Oh, bold girl. Get this person off of here. Get opposition on.
No, this isn't like the salty platoon. This is just a debate live. But thank you so much for coming up. I am just looking for some debates. I appreciate you though. Thank you so much. Let's go on to the next person. Let's go on to the next person, y'all. Let's go to Jill. Let's see what Jill has to say.
Hello.
What year were you born?
2005.
All right. What do you think about the topic
I
here?
don't think that they should teach LGBTQ in school.
In terms of accessibility, there should be consideration, but just to please the 1%, not. Yeah, I agree. Wheelchair-bound people cannot do anything about it, but anyone can be more frugal, even if their sociopathic needs or desires in there. Sorry, it's also hard to prove that or they are what they are, say physically. Yeah, right. Like no one's gonna be like, "Hey, would you mind putting that up to the camera so I can see?" You know, the whole allies could be seen as people parking in handicap spots. The urge of entitlement. This fucking heart thing is in the way. All allies could be seen as people parking in handicap spots. The urge of it for entitlement be the entitlement. It's just going to take a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
So things like LGBTQ or go on the internet or ask a teacher like one-on-one, stuff like that.
Just so you know, so like my stance on this, like, should LGBTQ be taught in schools? Like, there's no need for it because schools don't need to prepare you for this. Like, where it needs to be taught or talked about, if anything, is at home. Teachers don't need to talk about this stuff because it's not pertinent. You learn more skills by observing people, especially at young ages. You learn by observing how other people interact and treat others, and you essentially, like in the first few of their life, are just sort of parroting what your parents are saying. So what you want to do is promote like strong, healthy bonds at home, mom, dad, loving the kids, loving each other, and then making sure that when you interact with other people, especially people who are different than you, that you as things pop up, and they will pop up, that you are, you are acknowledging and correcting and discussing those issues as they come up. And the thing is like people don't realize that there's nothing perfect about life. There's always gonna be moments where your kids speak out of turn. They say things they shouldn't. They might insult somebody. But the point is that when you do hear this stuff, that you correct them, and you don't need to get mad at them. You just, you need to inform and educate that, hey, like that everyone's a little different. Some people can't walk, some people are born without a hand, some people, whatever it is. It's just really important that you have the discussions about this and not make it a punishment or make them seem that they did something wrong necessarily. But, hey, you don't know this. Allow me to, talk to you more about it.
I should still learn math.
No, I think. Are you still in school?
Yeah.
Do you have? Oh, you're in college.
And I'm a computer science major, right? Cybersecurity that deals with a lot of numbers, and I fucking hate numbers, but I love computers. I still must learn these things.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I think the whole LGBTQ in
Don't
school.
restate the thing. I need you to prove things.
I'm restating the question. That's what I learned about.
We already know your claim. We don't need to hear it the fourth time.
Wow.
Okay.
So I need you to start
Because if I just jumped right in, you wouldn't understand what I was talking about.
We do understand what you're talking about, but you need to start substantiating things because an anecdote is not accurate enough. Anything could trigger anyone. Like literally anything could trigger.
Okay, my friend.
So you shouldn't talk about certain things because someone might get triggered by it.
What? You're cutting out.
I'm sorry. We don't want anecdotes.
What we need is.
Oh, we don't want anecdotes, but let me bring up my friends here who want to talk about how they're intersex and how they're part of, then what? You obviously do because you have these people sitting in the box that are getting ready to dogpile your guests.
Is there any approved statistics from a qualified, reputable statistical source, like arrest records and things like that? Is there peer-reviewed papers? Is there some sort of evidence? Evidence. That's what we're looking for.
Evidence for what?
that there's some sort of problem, that there's something sort of detriment to teaching people basically what your claim was, that it's not good.
Well, it's just not part of the basic history.
What specifically do you want to teach them would be my question. What are you trying to teach them about LGBTQ? The lifestyle, any of that? Because all of that stuff can be taught without the label.
Base history. What is base history?
Like,
There's no levels to history. History is just history.
no, there's civics, there's world history, English history,
That's
literature
not
history.
base. Those are just types of history. That's just categories.
That's what you just asked.
Well,
That's
I
not
was
like
thinking that was my reference was basic history, meaning a summary of history, a more simplified history as opposed to a more advanced, like especially like what you get when you get into university level.
exactly. But I don't think that's the way that Jill is describing it.
I understand.
What?
So how are you describing it?
Well, civics is about the government. U.S. history is all about the United States, how we came to be.
But that's not basic history. That's just history. So like, what's the basic?
History, like
Oh,
how
dude, this
American
is what's so
immigrants-
tiring about these things is like, oh, we're gonna fixate on this word now. What do you mean by basic history? Like, it's so tiring. So tiring.
So here is a very important, crucial aspect of why history is so very important to be taught. Because when you don't learn about history, you have people who recreate the same type of history. So about almost 100 years ago,
That's like some bullshit right there. We always repeat history.
is exactly what is going on right now today in the United States. We are recreating that exact history.
What history? What?
So is it not important to learn about what happened that led up to World War II?
How does that have anything to do with World War II?
I don't know. I think you should get sis off of here.
Explain this. It's the pink triangles from this Holocaust.
The Holocaust has something to do with LGBTQ. The Holocaust
has a lot to do with the LGBTQ. Are you
The
kidding me?
The Holocaust was with the Jewish.
No. See, that's the misinformation.
Well, that's what I've learned in school. That was the more
Nazis
important
did
part.
not just start. Jill.
Jilly.
On it? I don't know what it says. Is it Jill? I don't know. But sorry, you can.
So I would suggest look up Magnus Hirschfeld. Look up, I forget his name. He was an advisor to the Mustache Man, and not Magnus Hirschfeld, but both Magnus Hirschfeld and this other person who was an advisor to the Mustache Man, who happened to be gay. The person who was gay was actually helping Hitler locate and round up all the people who were gay and intersex and homosexual. And well, already mentioned homosexuals that basically gay, but we're looking for anybody who was not cis heteronormative, including what this person did is point out Magnus Hirschfeld. Magnus Hirschfeld had a building that had a wealth of information and knowledge about the non-cis heteronormative people, including intersex people, transgender people, etc. This led the Mustache Man to destroy
The Mustache Man.
burn all the books there.
Not the Mustache
Those
Man.
books, when you see photographs from World War II of books being burned, those the vast majority of those were from Magnus Hirschfeld's library. Okay? Right now, today, conservative politicians are creating lists. Literally, my name is literally on a list from Florida. They are creating lists, and if you look up the
Can I have evidence that your name is on a list, sir? I mean, ma'am.
erasure of people, you'll see that a lot of those have already begun or occurred here in the United States. That's why I say history is repeating itself.
Well, do they Holocaust part two?
And if you want, that's not a good way to reference it, in my personal opinion, but that is what some people refer to it as. Yes, I don't agree with that reference because
They're not gonna go out and kill every single
hold on,
LGBTQ
be careful
community
about that
member.
word. Be
Yeah,
careful about that.
alive.
Sorry, sorry. They're not gonna go and unalive every single LGBTQ community member there is. Not every single LGBTQ community member was killed during the Holocaust. It was
Again, you
mostly
said the
the
K
people.
word.
I'm so sorry. I'm not used to
Say
swearing.
unalive, please.
Yeah, just be
Sorry.
Please, I'm gonna get triggered. My light's gonna get taken down.
Go
No,
ahead.
no, you can go. I was thinking out loud.
It started in Europe with the gay and lesbian people.
Don't say gay. That's a slur.
Just like Magnus Hirschfeld's library being burnt down.
Fucking
There's a
Magnus,
different
dude.
variation,
Fucking
yes,
Magnus.
but it's the same concept that is occurring right now,
Mm. Mm.
including even to the point of lists being made. There are laws that are baseless without any merit being passed and are currently in session. There's almost 600 bills in session, and there's about 75, 76 laws that have been passed. They're being done from one motive only, to motivate their base.
Can you not hear it, Cherry?
Get support, and that's exactly what was being.
That's
done
because
by
this
the
dude
mustache man
who has long
in
hair
World War II.
is talking really low.
He was consolidating his own power. Now it's just a political party that's doing it as opposed to one individual.
I'm gonna be honest. Everything you're saying is just going through one ear and out the other. I can't handle this right now. Have a nice night. I just don't know.
Okay.
Interesting.
I hope I didn't go too far down a rabbit hole on that.
I don't think that was it. I think people are struggling with a lot of bias, and having that be challenged is very difficult. So let's go on to the next person. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate every single person here. That was something. But yeah, let's see if this person loads in. Hi, Macy. How old are you? All right. Let's go on to the next person.
Me. Oh, pick me.
I thought that was like a baby at first, like an infant. I was like, hi. How old are you? Shiny?
Kick him.
You there?
Kick him. Let me get on. Kick him. Let him
You're
get
out of the app. Let's see what they have to say. Hi.
Hi.
How old are you?
38. Regrettably.
All right.
Old.
What do you think about the topic?
What is it that you're trying to teach, I guess, is the question.
Normalizing and destigmatization of people within the community. There are many ways to do.
I guess so. How would you like? What would the curriculum look like in teaching something like that?
Kari, do you want to comment on that? I'm trying to fix something real quick.
Sure. It depends on the grade. So as the child progresses in the school years, and they cover different subjects, there are things that relate to that particular subject. Granted, I don't know if math is going to have very much about it. Okay, so we don't have to worry about math. But there are very important people in history with English, for example. Shakespeare was possibly multiple people under one pen name, but there's a lot of evidence that Shakespeare was of the LGBTQIA plus community, or members of the pen name who used the pen name for Shakespeare were of the community. I've already mentioned earlier some of the other examples, like a doctor who did the very first European who was successful in doing a cesarean section was a transgender woman. I mean, excuse me, my mistake, a transgender man. Um, there's what we just referenced about the World War II for history. Now, more importantly and more practical, what's being done is like at kindergarten or first grade, when kids draw a picture of their family, some people's pictures are going to reflect members representation from the LGBTQIA plus community. Okay, so the part of the concept is to teach that at that level. When you get into the sex ed classes, then you're going to you're going to include how to mitigate against transmittable illnesses that include things like people who are homosexual or lesbian or things like that. So it depends on the level, and all it is really is little extra pieces that include the LGBTQ, the 2S LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's a matter of teaching proper biology than labeling it as like LGBTQ plus or whatever. Because I think when I just I don't know if it needs to be labeled as like this. Like we have to teach this and include this because I mean, or I guess where I'm coming from is you can still discuss same sex couples and families and so well sometimes two you have two moms or two dads, like end of story. Like there doesn't really need to be much of an explanation in that. If someone's blocking that, I think that's weird. But I just don't.
Like what you said. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, follow up.
So what you said about teaching proper biology is exactly correct. That includes people who are intersex or people who are transgender, and that is part of that biology. There is evidence that is beginning to suggest, and it's not definitive by any means, that transgender, for example, relates to the neurological wiring in the brain. So does homosexuality or lesbian. Okay, that relates to certain specific areas of the brain. Now, I'm not a biologist, so I'm not going to go into details on that, but there is evidence growing of that. There are papers for that. So I'm not saying that you're going to teach neurobiology to the high school or the junior high, or well, nowadays middle school. Sorry, when I was a kid, it was junior high.
Yeah.
So it was in the sex ed class or the biology classes, it will mention, it will reference, it would include the fact that there are people in this manner.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think at the right age, again, I don't know if sex ed is the answer. I think if you frame this stuff as like understanding humans as biological creatures and what happens when you engage in certain activities, it paints a much clearer picture and understanding and even the consequences of your actions, so you will understand how that works. Now, I think advanced like maybe high school or college level, you can start getting into maybe it's pertinent and important to get into the intersection transgender topics. I don't know if it's necessarily something that needs to be implanted in junior high, maybe high school, maybe. But
so the point is, anything that follows into the cis heteronormative, the correlation that falls into outside of the cis heteronormative would be at the same time at the same level as an equal. That's the main point. So in the sex ed class, it would you would reference how to use various forms of birth control, contraceptives, etc., and it would correlate. So the male and female cis heteronormative couple, which these kids are beginning to do at that age, but maybe some of them are homosexual. So the things that relate to mitigating against the spread of those illnesses would correlate and be appropriate for the lesbian or the gay couples.
Yeah, but there's no need to
Does that not make
distinguish.
sense?
Sorry to interrupt.
Well, yes, it does, because there are certain things that apply and don't apply on the
Such as?
homosexual level. Well, for example, two lesbian ladies are not going to need to worry directly about getting pregnant at that given time, but there are methods of stimulation, shall we say, that can promote the transfer of an illness. So, two women, need to know what is a likely form, a likely area that could transmit an illness, and how to mitigate against doing that. Two guys need to know about what is a likely method of transmitting an illness and how to mitigate against that. Does that not make sense?
Yeah, I guess. I do believe that. I don't know. My feelings on it are mixed. I just don't know if it necessarily needs to be distinguished one way or the other. I do think that, again, and that's why I think like separating the sexual part of these educations and like being biological, which I think you've been talking about, which is good. I don't, because if you're discussing this thing, and I'm not saying that the subject can't come up, but if you're saying, okay, today we're going to be talking about strictly this, I find that continually separating people into boxes creates more issues and divide than it does unite, because now you're like, oh, well, I'm different.
That's exactly what is being done by not allowing the homosexual or the lesbian to be discussed at the same time as the cis heteronormative. So the male and the female that are getting busy, when you're discussing that, it's appropriate to also include when two women, two females are involved, or two males are involved. That's the same exact time frame, and therefore it is appropriate at that time.
Yeah, I think that's done in the way it's done because the vast majority of people are not engaging in those activities. Not to say it's not important, and people, again, I'm not against anyone's lifestyle. Do what you want. But I mean, I think resources should be made available to it. But I don't know if necessarily. Again, I think age appropriate is fine. I don't find much of this needing to be done at like grade school level is really a lot of where my argument stems from, because
Jasmine wants to say something.
Yeah.
What did you want to say, Jasmine?
It's slightly off topic, but it has to do with the minority comments I keep seeing. So when we're taught history, we're taught about the civil rights movement, the march, all that stuff. That is also LGBT marching, Black people marching,
Yeah.
people, Asians. It's also indigenous people marching. It's because they're marching for the basic civil rights. And if you only talk about the black side or the white side, you are dehumanizing the rest of them.
I think that's unfair.
Why
But
they need to teach it.
You said what?
I think that's an unfair characterization of it. I think specificity is good, but I think dehumanizing is a bit much. But that's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, because think about it. A lot of the time, like especially say one thing that I noticed in particular, like say like Native American people, when we were talking about like racial tensions within the country, Native Americans are left out of the conversation every time. Like people don't talk about them. Continue, Carter.
Not only that, but a very important aspect is that indigenous people, indigenous to this continent that I live in, where the United States is at, they were nearly truly erased. Okay, they are one of the groups that had one of the most absolute atrocities occur to them. Right there with what happened in World War II. Okay, that was I mean, there are entire groups that have literally been erased. Most other groups have been completely displaced, lost their language, lost their culture, lost their lands, lost their family, etc., etc., etc. I cannot underscore how important
Yeah, I don't
what we have
know
done to the indigenous people.
those.
And we've
That'll.
also done. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that. I mean that. I have. I mean that. What we're sharing now is anecdotal because we're sharing our personal experiences on the matter. But like, I've had multiple in like my.
Anecdotal.
Yeah.
It's
Well.
historical facts.
No, it's. What do you mean? It's not. It's not historical facts.
These are historical facts.
This has been discussed
only
in schools
reason my
before.
ancestors, no, the only reason my ancestors were enslaved were because the native people who were on the land were all gone. They were all unalive.
I don't know if that was the only reason. I think
This
it.
is not opinion piece. This is the facts.
Okay. I'm not going to speak on that because I don't have enough information on it. But
when it comes to the indigenous people, they're either displaced into small, deserted lands where they cannot survive, or they're forced to blend in with the European settlers at that time and forced to change their ideals and their way of life just to survive.
Yeah, but this is
not how it should.
This is being taught. No, that's abhorrent. That's awful. No one's arguing that. It is being taught though. It's not being erased. Like this is taught in schools. The atrocities that were committed against indigenous people.
It's not.
Not in your school, which is unfortunate. No. It's age appropriate, right? It's age appropriate. We've talked about this.
It is barely touched upon. It is barely touched upon, and that was when I was in school. My niece, who actually, we were having a conversation, and she knew nothing about this. Wasn't even taught about what happened in World War II. Okay.
Well, I don't know where you went to school, but I mean, but okay. Here's the question: at what point is this important subject matter? What grade do you think to talk about, like the Trail of Tears, World War II, the bombing of Dresden, all that? At what point do you think that is all important?
The Trail of Tears in middle school, and the only reason that I learned about the Trail of Tears was because one day my honors English teacher, who was a black woman, she got up the projector. She showed us a picture of someone at like a festival or something, and she was wearing like indigenous like headwear. And then she asked us, "What's wrong with this photo?" Right? And none of us could tell her what was wrong with the photo, right? And then she showed us other photos that were similar, and then she showed us pictures of blackface, and then she showed us pictures of, say, other things like cultural appropriation, like different type people using like black people's hair and things like that. And she said, "What's wrong with this?" And we were able to tell her exactly what was wrong, right? That is how much indigenous peoples are left out of the conversation. Even in the context of things like cultural appropriation, she taught us right there, and that's not even a part of the curriculum, right? She taught us just from right there, like about indigenous experiences, right, and how they are left out. Immediately, she started teaching us about these things. It's not a part of the curriculum, at least not for me. It wasn't a part of the curriculum.
Again, and that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Your experience is anecdotal. It's not a picture of the whole, which we can't talk about. You know what I mean?
No, that's not the point that I wanted to focus on. I'm talking about the fact that like this is not something that is mandatory within schools, and if it is, it's relatively recent. So,
well, that's good though. And again, I'm not saying like people should learn about history. Unfortunately, history is written by the victor. Oftentimes, it's cliche, but it's the truth. But there's many different examples of people learning about stuff in certain regions and not in others. And it's likely changed since a lot of us went through the school system. There might be a lot more that's being taught now that we don't fully know about. But
my point is that I only learned about these things because my teacher purposefully went against the curriculum.
Okay.
Also, just to mention,
yeah,
all of that is very critical. All of that needs to be taught. Okay. and it is very important to teach it. And for example, with my niece in Indiana, who is not learning about what happened during World War II, she knew nothing about it. Now, back to what we were originally talking about before we got sidetracked. Age appropriate. If we're going to talk about the fact that cishet kids in sex ed, because this is the age where kids start getting busy with each other. That's very important. So if you want to leave out and exclude the male, homosexual, whether it's gay or lesbian, then you are also going to be expected to leave out the cishet, the children, okay, the boy and the girl. But that is absolutely the last thing that you should do, because that is the age where the kids start doing things, and they need to know, they need to be educated on what they're doing and how that can affect them becoming pregnant or them getting a socially transmitted, illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is very critical at that age. So it is absolutely age appropriate for all across the board, regardless of orientation.
Yeah, I guess I can see that fact is that, again, if we're talking biology, I think young kids need a better understanding of biology without mention of sexuality. I don't think that necessarily is needed. And by sexuality, I mean like the actual act. I think I don't think that's an important thing to focus on. I think understanding the human body and what it's capable of and or not capable of. And
I don't know why your argument. I don't know what focus on means. No one is focusing on that.
I'm just making sure my argument's clear. That's all.
What age do you think kids are beginning to get busy with each other?
No, I think you're right. I think your depiction of it is pretty much on, 13, 14 is when they're going about it. But again, I don't
And actually even a few years younger than that nowadays. But
maybe, yeah.
It's getting younger.
And do you not realize that all variations need to be taught?
Yeah, and I don't think it's the state's job to do that.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No, it's not. No, it's no way. I don't want the state to.
If it's not the state, wait a minute. If it's not the state's job to do this,
Why can't I ask?
What is the state's job?
The state's job is to it's good. I wasn't prepared to answer that question. What's that?
You're making my wig tight. What is the state's job?
I think I'm pretty libertarian when it comes to my politics. So I think government, especially federal government, should be limited to like national defense, and the state should be able to make their laws for the most part. Again, I'm pretty wishy-washy in the middle of politics. I try not to go too far left or right, but I don't believe that the state is responsible for. Hold on, real quick. Let me just finish. I don't believe the state is responsible for raising your kids. I think it's the responsibility of the parents to talk about these things with their child. Because again, as of right now, the state is running these schools. The Department of Education is a complete and utter disaster and is a huge drain on the American taxpayer.
Okay, so just to let you know, yes, the public education is in a disaster, but that's the whole point. We need to stop sending money to anything outside of public schools. The money needs to go to the public schools.
No way.
The educational level needs to be raised on a federal level across the entire United States for every child to have a minimal standard.
No,
that needs to be that the children need to learn, not just be pencil whipped past the next to the next.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you look at it right now, like by the numbers, it's a disaster. Like the more money we spend in public schools, like the worse their test scores are getting. It's really bad. I mean, the whole system is really bad right now.
Absolutely false.
No. Okay, so this is just a fallacy, right? So of course we're going to be spending money on these things, but trust me, it is not going to the education. Like it's not. If it was going towards the education, then
these schools are receiving money to the tune of like $12,000 to $15,000 per student. Where that money is going is not to the education of the student, which is the problem.
Let me tell you. So, are we talking about public schools here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, private schools are kind of are in trouble too. But
yeah. So wait, what type of? Because different types of schools are funded different types of ways. So, what types of schools are we talking about? Because like, if we're talking about public schools,
we're talking about public. No, we're talking public schools at the moment, and again, like
Okay, so how are public schools funded?
they're funded through taxpayer dollars.
They're funded via
Yeah, taxpayer dollars. Sorry, it wasn't that specific.
right. So there are but you need to be specific.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, right. Because there are different types of taxes, right?
Well,
so
yeah.
if it's funded via property,
Hmm.
right? It would be based off of the overall income of that area. Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right. So if a public school is located in a disadvantaged area,
Mhm.
say like a Black community, right? How much funding are they supposed to get? Because it's not going to be a lot.
Well, a lot of these areas
Because if we know that the property taxes, if we know that even if a Black person even moves into a white neighborhood, the property tax goes down.
I don't know that.
Imagine an entire group of them. Yeah, it's true. Imagine an entire group of Black people in one neighborhood, right? That brings down that property tax significantly. And if that's the money that is funding these schools, how do you expect for them to get any kind of education that is comparable to schools that would be within the same district but would be more in a predominantly white area?
I don't know. I don't believe your stats totally. I mean, I'll take you at your word, but there's schools in the
spouting about taxpayer dollars and don't know what taxpayer dollars.
Right.
Sounds like you just.
No, it's the truth. And there's sorry I didn't pull up all my sources. I pulled up as many sources as you just did. So we're kind of in the same boat here. But I know that there's school districts that are not necessarily predominantly white that are receiving a lot of money, and they are not getting people to the proper graduating reading level.
Can you name them, please, so we can look them up?
No, I'll name them as soon as you can tell me about Black people's property taxes tanking white neighborhoods.
It's extremely well documented.
Well, then that shouldn't be hard to toss me a source. Feel free to inbox it to me because I would love to read it.
Continue the conversation while I do.
The
All I want to say for real. It's been well documented for a long time now. But anyways, whatever. Let's continue the conversation while it's looked up.
I do think that. I'm sorry, what?
I said, hi, what's going on? Let's continue the conversation.
No, I just think that I don't know that it needs to be. I mean, my point just kind of stands. I don't know. It feels like the conversation is stalled out a bit, but I don't think that
it doesn't. It don't stall out. Your point does not stand. Actually, stands incorrect.
Well, according to you, I mean. Oh, well, my phone just died. Sad. I hope they send me that. My phone died. Like 100%. I can't. I'll even prove it to you. I'm pressing this really hard right now and it's not coming back on. 0%. My phone died. Just so that you didn't think I bitched out on that. Yeah, well documented for a long time isn't the same as this was true 100 years ago. No, I know. Let me see. The issue I have with a lot of this stuff is that it's based on their feelings, right? She's all mad. She's mad. No, and I'm interested in seeing that. Like to make the claim that when a Black person moves into a white neighborhood and the property values tank, like, what? And like, if you're going to make that claim, it better be one that is like, oh, this is if we're really arguing the issue here, that it's a systemic problem, a one-off instance or even like two off isn't indicative of anything other than maybe that neighborhood's fucking racist, which I am not arguing for racism at all, not even a little bit. Need a backup phone for times like this? Yeah. I'm not a rich boy. What's up, Gaming Ronin? Good to see you. But I want to say, top school districts. How could I? Let's see. Most money spent per student by school district. See if we can get that to pop up. Oh, the school district that spent the most money per student in 2018. Hold on, let's do 2020. Oh, sorry, maybe 2022. That's probably like the most recent, like reliable data. U.S. public education spending statistics 2003 per pupil. Holy shit. K through 12. Wow. Let's let me just hold on. Let me move this over so I can share it and you guys can see what I'm looking at. Okay. So K through 12 per spending per student. This is by state. Let me see. Can we look at? So let's look. Let's look at Maryland. Look at Maryland. That's Massachusetts. That's Massachusetts. Shit. MD. That's what I wanted to see. Mute my mic. Why? Oh. Is that better? Can you hear me now? Sorry. If any gave a source that could be summed up to I made it the fuck up. I got it. It was my camera. My camera had, for some reason, had a source. Maryland. On average, we spend about $16,000 per student K through 12 in the United States. Why can't I look at public education spending in Maryland? Can we look at that? I don't know why it's not going to the page. I don't know if I'm... If that is true, it could be that due to wealth disparity, the worth of the neighborhood had already been trending down. So the ones who have a bit less money move in, and due to statistics, they're not. Yeah, I could see that. I wonder how much of that increases due to the teachers' unions. Yeah. It's a lot of money, by the way. Per student spending? Wow. My state is 9.5K, but in Connecticut, where I grew up, 23,000. That's crazy. Yeah, my camera is making that noise. Let me go back real quick. I want to check out. I want like the top school districts. A lot, dude. That's a lot of money spent. Most money spent per year by school district. New York is the highest. 23,000. Let's just, okay, so let's look at literacy rates by state in 2022. That's what I looked up. Okay, so we can just look at that. Wait, is that what I want? States with the lowest, oh boy. States with the lowest literacy rates. California's 23.1% of adults lacking basic prose literacy. Let's look, okay, real quick, let's see. So let's go back to my main screen here and we'll look again. So California, 23% of adults lacking basic prose literacy skills. They spend $16.3 thousand on per pupil on education. New York, they're the highest at $30K. Florida spends about $12K. Texas spends about almost $14K. And New Jersey spends about $24K. Those are the 5 states with the lowest literacy rates. And you tell me if is there, I wonder if there's a graduating, hold on. Let me see here. Hold on. Like, so let's look at graduation literacy rates in New York State. Is that a thing? Diploma disparities. High school graduation rates in New York. Graduation rates have gone up in New York City from between 2008 and 2015. That's good. Let's see. I'm trying to look up some very specific. The graduation rates by state in 2023. Okay. Let's look at this. High school or higher. High school graduations by state 2023. High school graduation is one of the first and most important milestones in a young man or woman's life. Huh, what about intersex? Unfortunately, not everyone makes it to this momentous day. There are several reasons why a person wouldn't graduate, from having less than ideal home life, working to help support the family, or even because they are homeless. Graduating high school is the first step in attaining higher education degrees. When broken down by state, Iowa and New Jersey have the highest graduation rate in the country at 91% each. Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia, and Wisconsin all follow with 90. There's no one really in like dire straits here. Look at the bottom. California is the lowest. Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, New Mexico, Nevada, Alabama. Oh, look at that. New York is in the bottom, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. New York's in the bottom 10, despite the fact that they spend the most on their students. Very interesting. So it's like, it's really like, it's almost like no correlation between like how much money. I mean, I'd have to plot these. I'm not gonna. All right. By the end of the 2018 school year, the average U.S. graduation rate was about 85%, and the individual states contributed to this total in the following ways. Only 15 states and one federal district have at least one school with a 100% graduation rate. The District of Columbia has one school from which 100% of the student body graduates, and the 15 states with a 100% graduation rate in 2019 are, oh, look at that. Yeah, Connecticut, let's go. Oh, this is interesting. Fourth graders below basic reading level. Let's look at New York. 42% of fourth graders are below the basic reading level, despite the fact, again, that they're shelling out about $30K a student. West Virginia's 48%. What's the highest there? I think West Virginia. Oh no, Alaska has 49%. About half of fourth graders are below the basic reading level. Yeah, West Virginia, Alaska, Arkansas, New Mexico. Wow, more than half. I want to look up high school graduates that read below a fourth grade level. Is this a thing? I mean, that alone, I don't know if that's considered acceptable. Yeah, they spend under Jerry, they spend just under 10K a student, like 9.7 thousand a student. I'm pretty sure it's Maryland schools. Maryland public schools. Literacy rates. Maybe that's what I was looking for. There have been concerns in the past about literacy levels in some Baltimore City schools. For instance, in February 2023, it was reported that over 75% of students at a Baltimore high school were reading at elementary levels, with some even at kindergarten levels, indicating significant literacy challenges. Parents left unaware of stunning illiteracy at Baltimore public school. A brave unnamed teacher had to sneak those secrets I-ready test results to the station to do what a Baltimore school district was apparently unwilling to do, which is educate the school's parents about the children's horrifying degree of illiteracy. This is also a huge like cultural issue. Like why like are the parents not even around to like do homework and all that stuff? Like that's where we're at. Of 628 Patterson High School students tested, 484 or 77% read at an elementary school level, including 71 at a kindergarten level and 88 at a first grade level. Only 12 read at grade level, or a minuscule 1.9%. Let's see if we can find Baltimore City public school budget per student. Can we find that? Finance and budget, Baltimore public city public schools. Wait, hold on. In the district ran on a $1.4 billion budget for only 78,000 students, a cost of $18,000 per pupil. Baltimore City school budget for 22 and 23 academic year was $1.62 billion, which includes a 16% spending increase over the previous year. The budget includes a massive infusion of state funds tied to the landmark education reform called the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. The ACLU of Maryland, along with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and law firm Baker Hostetler, is asking a city circuit court judge to issue a summary judgment between $442 million and $705 million to address long-term state funding gaps in Baltimore City public schools. The district spends $16,000 per student each year, with an annual revenue of almost $1.7 billion. In 2021, the district ran on a $1.4 million budget. Okay, real quick, let me see. When was this? Oh, dude, guys, if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, so the budget in 2021 was 1.4 million for 78,000 students. So 78,000 students in the Baltimore City district, about 18K per pupil. This was posted in early 2022. So the direct correlation to those funds essentially, or within funding for these students, these are the results. 1.9% read at grade level. This is Baltimore City. According to various sources, the largest racial ethnic groups in Baltimore, Maryland are Black, 60.9%, followed by white, 27.3%, Hispanic, 5.6%. The median household income in Baltimore households are $54,000 in 2021. So I'll just say right now that their point, the point that they were trying to make, that that Black communities, Black schools don't get more money, is this one example proves that wrong. 16,000? I think it was 16,000. I'm sorry, 18,000 per pupil. The education system in this country is completely broken, and we continue. It's not a function of money. We put a lot of money into the education system, and it's not going to the education of these children. Bottom line. So don't sit there and tell me that we need to give more money. No, you have an extremely broken system that needs to be fixed. These teachers' unions are awful. They harbor some of the worst individuals possible. And it's just feeding into us. It's like pumping water through broken pipes. Like some of the water will get there, but most of it's just going to dump everywhere on the ground. Just that's how it works. That's a fun little dive into some stats. Our ruling class don't want our students to have their own independent thinking. Yeah. Well, then you get TikTok debaters like that who are just like they're like that was going to devolve into a race card. It's like you don't hear what I'm saying. Like stop with the labels. You don't need to label anything. We don't need specific LGBTQ education. So in some ways, I agree with them in that you can teach history. If you want to footnote certain things as being, this person happened to be gay, well, I don't have a problem with that. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Like I think there's age appropriate education that needs to occur. We should learn about history. Do we need to learn about the Trail of Tears at fourth grade? Probably not. It's probably a little heavy for a fourth grader, to be honest. But I think understanding the history later on, come 8th, 9th, 10th grade, I think it's, again, you can talk about these things incrementally. You could say what the Trail of Tears is without getting into the nitty gritty of it. You can get into the nitty gritty of, you could talk about World War II and its effects across the globe, why we got into it, all that. And then later on, as people start to focus more on history, or as their brains develop a little bit and become more emotionally mature, then you can get into like all the specifics of World War II and, even, Oppenheimer and his story and the development of the nuclear weapons and all that. Like, there's no reason we can't do that. But when you start segregating history into, we talk about this, and then we talk about this, we talk about LGBT, we talk about black, like all this stuff is history. You want to label so and so gay? Sure, do it. You want to deep dive into Shakespeare being multiple people? Sure, that's fair. I wouldn't teach that because there's nothing to substantiate it right this moment. If you want to talk about it like on the side as a theory, okay. But you can't say, oh, this is fact. Shakespeare was 4 different people, some of which were LGBTQ. You can't say it because you don't know it. Nobody knows it. I'd like to see the actual books they're studying on, if they have any. I'm sure they had a link or two they wanted to send. I learned about the Trail of Tears in 4th grade. Didn't understand any of it at the time. Right. I mean, you can totally learn about like the horrible history behind, chattel slavery and, the taking of land by force, death, disease, and all that, without it being like a white man bad thing, like the people of the time bad, right? However you want to, but we are not the sins of our fathers. Math skills are important from early on to mold the brain. At this point, I question if the history I was taught and still being taught was true or not, mainly when it comes to the reason for the Civil War. Yeah. Dude, there's so much out there like to learn. And again, it's like this is again why you don't, the state is not going to teach you to think for yourself. They're teaching you to just kind of fall in line and do what you're told and then go from there. Parents need to encourage kids that. I mean, again, this is a fine line. I've talked about this before. Think for yourself, but also learn the value in listening to your elders and taking what they say and saying, "Oh, okay, I agree," or "No, I disagree," or "Hey, I'm going to go check on that. I'm going to go." You don't have to Google something right in front of someone. That's rude. You learn to how to discuss. Right, being intellectually honest. It's okay to take someone at their word, but more often than not, you're not going to find someone who's got like endless sources on things right then and there. That's okay. Like, okay, I'll just take you at your word because you want me to. But so this person just bop, says a bunch of things to me and doesn't provide any sources about it. And then I say something, and what's the first thing they ask? Well, you didn't provide a source. Can you provide a source with that? I'm sorry. Is this where we're at now? Okay. I'll provide that source as soon as you provide your source, right? And sure, if they want to call my bluff on it, cool, whatever. But I just, after it ended, and if anyone ever finds this who's in that live, I went and looked up my own statistics here. They're all fine. Maryland demographics, all that. Yeah, judging past events by current moral standards is weird. And it's something that's really trendy right now. Even when they when some of these people who are like 35 years old or even younger, 30 years old, and they're going back 7 to 10 years and finding old tweets. And like, see what you said when you were 20, when you were 19. Can you believe you said that? Like, yeah, I was probably really wasted or drunk or I was just a dumb kid. Imagine that. I learned something in 10 years. It's really, really weird. But people just regularly use the word retard. But yet oh my God, you said this. Oh, clutches pearls. Our history classes were chronological, from 5th to 9th. 9th years were you turn 9th years turned 16 here. Yeah, it's the same for us. Thank God I didn't have a cell phone camera when I was a kid. Oh, I know, man. Oh, trust me. There's a lot of weirdness out there. Yeah, it's weird, man. Good debate though. Good talks. I'm glad I went through that information. I'm gonna try and pull something out of this whole debate. I wish I was recording it. I mean, there's the VOD, but thank you guys for joining. I'm trying to do stuff like this over on this channel, like the impromptu debates, and then discussions about what's it called? Entertainment over here. I got some really cool things coming up for my channels, and if you are not in my Discord, I highly recommend jumping into my Discord. And I don't know if I have it listed. Let me share the Discord with you guys, and then we can call it a night. But like I said, I highly recommend people joining and being a part of the discussions, because I'm opening it up to more people, and also going to have some fun things in there that people can engage with, and we can. I want to start a whole like meme channel that we can use for the midweek hump and kind of liven up our Wednesday night meme segments, because I think it'd be a lot of fun to blend the Legion of Memers with the community memes and stuff like that. But I appreciate everyone hanging out. It's been really cool for you guys supporting, especially this channel. Thank you, Ark, for sharing that as well. Yeah, join the Discord, guys. Be a part of the conversation, and watch this community grow. We're going places. I know it. We're going to work a little bit harder to bring you guys a little bit extra value, especially those who are members on my main channel, TheShagsworth. So thank you guys so much. Be cool. I'll be around tomorrow for a while. We can all chat and hang out. I'll probably be in Discord. Love you guys. Doodles.